Hey, Mario, or myself, are you somehow feel a bit sweaty for some reason? I know I understand because of how the fact that with the forms of this boiling, pinky-looking, sauce around here, I think that's where you get the suggestions for this point, so even then, first of all, because of how the fact that you're a sheriff after all, so I'm guessing that's pretty much obvious at this point, so... Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, I'm Mario here once again, and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of Super Mario Odyssey for the Nintendo Switch. So, last time we actually did manage the first time ever we're going to be exploring through, well, technically, the second time we actually visiting by the forms of Luncheon Kingdom, because the first time we've ever technically been into this place was actually by the forms of, like, the secret path to the forms of the Luncheon Kingdom or something. So even then though, I'm guessing because of how the fact that we've sort of come across into that ever since Worded Kingdom or something. So yeah, today for this episode, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that we're going to be still continue on exploring for the forms of the Luncheon Kingdom to able to do even more missions, excluding by the forms of collecting even more power moons as a result. So even then though, once that's been done, then I'm assuming we might actually get some time to able to actually just about to be just get into the forms of the next kingdom and the forms of the entirety of the game itself. So even then though, that we're about to get started right there. So first of all, we got ourselves the first power moon in this video. Light the two flames. So it's basically it's like the it's kind of like the ones in the forms of the other mission that we have to deal with the exact same thing, except the fact that we need to light up two flames instead of just one. So I think that's the only noticeable difference, I feel like. And also, if you probably couldn't tell already, is the fact that now we can able to actually access to the forms of those Plottaboo cannons this time around. Those you can clearly see one over there, because of how the fact that the most mandatory mission that we can only deal with for this particular point at this point is the forms of how the fact that we need to able to get to, like, I would say from this point right over... Well, I would say over there, almost, right near to where the checkpoint flag is. So even then though, that way we can able to do more things here and there, and in addition to those kinds of stuff, that's, you know, that's, I'm assuming we're almost nearly towards the end of the main adventure, as far as I'm aware, and also by the forms of we got ourselves 72 regional coins for now, and we've only got ourselves 28 more left, so even then, now we've almost nearly wrapped things up with the forms of Luncheon Kingdom completely when it comes to regional coins, so... Now we can able to do more things here and there, thanks to the forms of this part in particular, because I'm assuming normally we can't able to go to there, unlike any forms of how it does in the first time around, but other than that though, yeah. So here we go, onto the Volcano Cave entrance. Now you can either just long jump from here, or you can able to take the normal pathway, which I'm about to do right about now, because of those regional coins from here. But of course you can able to actually do a speedrun tactic like I just did right there. So I might as well able to actually show you guys of the alternative ways you can able to get to this point and throughout. So anyways though, and some more regional coins I need to probably go ahead and grab, even though that I need to able to use this, you know, the hardcore sweet coin right there, and whenever I decide to roll that thing over onto the other side or something. So yeah, I guess that makes it pretty obvious. And from here, that I believe we're gonna have to use the Plottaboo transformation for this whole time until, excuse me, until we're able to actually you know, access to other paths and all that stuff. So even then, not too difficult or anything like that. So even then, everything else is self-explanatory for the most part, though. So you have to dodge those rolling obstacles here and there. And I believe if we go all the way over there, I'm assuming that we actually come across into another power moon as you expected. So even then, though, that's yeah. Not much else I can really say about this point today, folks, other than today was actually forms of the 24th of October in 2018. Now, I said this before about the fact the matter is, though, the fact that originally I did say, back in during the likes of in a Snow Kingdom video, originally I was trying to say about the fact that this will be the last video I'll do for now, and then because of that, though, it might actually take a lot of efforts to deal with this kinds of stuff. But it turns out I was completely wrong, because you know how the fact that we're still going to be able to continuously doing this particular game itself so far. Sorry for a little bit of a tangent right there. And this will be the definition of the forms of like the last video we're about to be uploading for now. Because until tomorrow anyway, we might as well able to actually just upload the video update for our updated stuff of what's gonna happen during a couple of days' time. Mainly by the forms at the beginning of November, all the way from, you know, at the very end of October. See, Fernando, you guys can clearly tell without the fact that what's gonna happen. But even then, we're not gonna spend much time discussing about that stuff just yet. So, anyways, I don't think that's gonna work. See, even then, I think I might as well able to screw things over. So let's just go ahead and just take care of that. Even though I have to committed suicide, as you can see right there. So yeah, that's why I usually can think about it. And, well, I'm normally trying to able to get Cappy back, but, the only thing I can able to actually describe for this enemy is the fact that we need to toss the rock over to him, and then, also we need to able to capture him as such. So, from here, we need to able to use the capture piranha plant here, and that way we need to light up those two flames, and there you go. That's how you really have to do with this mission. So, and this mission is called Light the Far Off Lanterns. So it's like the same thing for the other lantern missions, except the fact that it's actually gone way further beyond this time around though. So yeah, I think that's the only noticeable difference I can think of. And also I thought I probably should be able to establish for this kinds of stuff before the actual video update is about to be happening during tomorrow. In fact, it might actually upload it during at some point in 12ish or 1 because of how the fact that, or during tomorrow anyway, because of how the fact that we need to get these things going, especially noticeable with the, well, we're probably not going to discuss it onto that, when, some other toys were able to mention about that and during at some point or another, so, but I digress. A few things I want to explain about this is the fact that, recently, I managed to able to order myself by the forms of like another set of retro stuff here and there, as you expected, because, well, there aren't any newer games coming out for I was interested of just yet, other than Spyro United Trilogy by the forms of the PlayStation 4, which should be on its way until, you know, next month now. So even then, I'm really looking forward to that. In fact, I might actually pre-order that game at some point or another, and so whenever I decide to able to try out, you know, the old version to the newer version of the forms of the Spyro trilogy. So even then, the only thing I'm a little bit still worried about is the forms of how the fact that if they refuse to able to actually put in 3 games all in 1 disc, and maybe they might as well able to go ahead and do with 2 other games as digital download only, which I might as well able to be worried about that, because if that's been happening, then I'll be extremely disappointed. So anyway. And also by the forms of Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu Edition, in addition to the Pokeball Plus Joy-Con, which I think I might as well get there with a sold separately version of those 2 stuff, because I might as well, oh, that was such a, whatever. But at least we managed to get back there safely, so, in fact, there's actually Captain Toad right down there, but in order to actually get to him, though, I'm presuming we need to figure out some strategy that we need to deal with right there. So here we go to the top of the peak climb. So even then though that we've almost nearly towards the top of the volcano once again, but even then though all we need to do now is basically we need to hop onto that cannon over there, but we can't do that just yet though, other than I completely failed my landing skills department when it comes to that particular magma, unless there's actually a little bit of a skill involved. Like as you can see, I've got my life heart up still, and I could able to actually just take like 5 units of health left, like, or in this case just trying to able to take damage by the forms of the magma sometimes, and that way I can able to reach from here. But it might be a little bit too risky though, because it's a little bit too far away from it. So even then though, we need to figure out another way we can able to do this. So anyways though, yeah, and also by the forms of course, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for the Nintendo Switch, and especially noticeable with the GameCube controller adapter, which I might as well able to get at some point or another, especially on the Switch version. And, speaking of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, is the fact that they've actually just managed to revealed, the actual rumor about the fact that with the final roster of the game, excuse me, that's how the fact of the matter is though. Actually, before I get to this, however, though, we get ourselves Captain Toad speech going on here. How'd I get out here? Whew, it's so hot here. I can't remember, but wow, sizzle time, right? I did found this power moon though. Take it, all yours. So here we got another Power Moon from Captain Toad, even though we still haven't got one by the forms of Seaside Kingdom, but don't worry, we'll do that at some point whenever we get back into that kingdom. So anyway, but the fact of the matter is though, is the fact that they've accidentally just revealed either it could be fake or real when it comes to the real fighters of the final roster of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Could be either like Ken from Street Fighter, or in this case Shadow the Hedgehog from Sonic the Hedgehog series, or perhaps it's maybe because it might add something either new or Echo Fighters around here, but again, that we'll wait and find out until the actual final game came out or something like that. But as usual, the leaks is still about to be as on the horizon, so even then, nothing too much else to be discussed for this point, so... Alright, so here we go folks, here's the forms of the next boss fight that we got to deal with right there, and now the forms of the Akaka Trail. Which, again, I do apologize for his name because of how the fact that I can't pronounce these actual bosses that much, other than a couple of exceptions, but that's just probably just me. So yeah, for this boss fight, it's pretty much mandatory if we need to able to use the Plutterboot transformation, because without it, then it makes the boss fight incredibly unfair if you accidentally uncapture the Plutterboot. So even then though, always best to not to press any of the trigger buttons, because if you do accidentally press the trigger button by accident, then you would easily die instantly. So basically, this is how this boss fight goes. Basically, we need to able to guide the Plutterboot version of Mario all the way up to the forms of the actual Cuckatrio's you know, head, and then that way it'll deal the amount of damage. But here's the thing though, is the fact that we need to able to dodge as many of those obstacles, and every time he does that, we need to navigate for this particular pattern right there, and if you do so, then you would easily just manage to able to hit him easily on top of his head. Sometimes my depth perception on this particular boss can get pretty traumatizing at points, but apart from that though, not too bad of a boss fight though, I don't think. So even then though, that makes it super obvious at this point. So anyways though, yeah, I'm actually very curious about the fact that with the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, even though we haven't know about the actual direct of it yet, even though it might, I've actually heard they might actually reveal that at some point in November before the a month's game is about to be launching on itself. But even then, we'll find out sooner or later. But for now, we'll can't figure out for this point yet. So another thing I want to point out right away is the fact that I've recently managed to able to order myself the forms of yet again video games as a result, because again, as I said this before, I have to wait until whenever the new games is about to be on its way until November or December. So even then though, these are the only two items I've actually ordered myself from eBay once again. So those are Mario Superstar Baseball for the Nintendo GameCube, because you know how the fact that I've already, me and Luigi did already tackle for our Let's Play of Mario Super Sluggers for about a year ago, and that was the forms of the American version of the game, because I feel like I was trying to able to get ourselves the first baseball game of Mario game on the GameCube, just because I found a cheaper price of that game, because normally how the fact of the matter is though, since we're still in the UK, normally UK audiences doesn't normally play baseball that much, unlike the America, because I know for the fact that America, I can understand how the fact that the Mario Superstar Baseball sequel by the forms of Mario Super Sluggers never saw the light of day on the UK, just because it's a baseball game instead of like, well, normally it doesn't come out on the UK, so even then though, I think, you know, Mario Superstar Baseball is the only Mario Baseball game that only came out on the UK, so even then though, it doesn't have a sequel or anything like that, so it's a good thing I've managed to able to got that game anyway though, in the forms of not only by the actual game, but also by the forms of the American Wii as well, just because I feel like I was trying to able to accept this fact. So, but I found a cheaper price of the forms of Mario Superstar Baseball actually. It cost about almost 60 quid, which even though it still is a bit too pricey, because of how the fact that most UK players don't normally play baseball in reality. So, and sometimes the actual price of Mario Superstar Baseball for the GameCube can get pretty damn expensive in the forms of the Amazon website, and as far as I'm aware though, it goes for like £70+, which is really ridiculous if you ask me. And another thing is worth mentioning though, is the fact that I've actually got myself the forms of the PlayStation 3 version of the forms of Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. Why? I have no clue, other than they don't have trophies whatsoever, which I still found is a little bit more ridiculous than ever would be, and especially it doesn't help how the fact that the actual load times doesn't actually decrease this, even then though I have to purposely try to cope with it. I think the reason why I've got the PlayStation 3 version of the forms of Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 anyway, just because, well, just for curiosity's sake and to see how that version plays out, even though it plays exactly like the 360 version, but except there is no updates and all that stuff. Although they still have the DLC content only on the United Kingdom version, whilst the forms of the American version doesn't, which I found was a little bit too nitpicking for them, and as a matter of fact, I don't think I can able to purchase these DLC for Sonic 06 on the PlayStation 3, to be honest, because it's kind of worthless for me, though, other than, well, it might be fun in some scenarios, but then again, it's most likely because if there was no trophy support and all that stuff, unlike the achievements in the forms of the Xbox 360 version, which I somewhat appreciated with this stuff, but it's just the way the fact of the matter is, though, is that some of these achievements in Sonic 06 are horribly English. I gotta say this much. Like, Supersonic, obtain the all moves. Like, really? Is that makes any sense? I mean, could it just be like, obtain Sonic's, super... Well, I would say by the forms of, like, obtain all the Sonic's super... old Sonic super moves. I think that's what I was thinking of with the captions, but again, it might be very horribly English when it comes to that specific description, but I digress. So, and as a result of that edition, then, yeah, as far as I can say for this matter, so, other than by the forms of how the fact that I've noticed is the fact that, I heard that the Toys R Us is gonna come back. Well, I haven't really heard by the forms of like the actual happening, but as far as I'm aware, by the forms of the actual producers, of the forms of the actual workers or something like that, that they are apparently not too happy with that or something like that, or maybe I just made things up, but I digress. Okay, I have no idea what I'm doing because as you can see, not only because I've actually got myself 3 more regional coins left, but also I get the feeling of this little sense of directions is the fact that I'm pretty sure there might be this last golden turnip that we can able to get. But here's the thing though, is the fact that as you can tell, that how the fact that my voice is gone a little bit too awkward these days is most likely because again I'm pretty much rusty when it comes to like news and updates and all that stuff. Other than that we can able to actually just to concentrate on the actual Super Mario Odyssey game, but that I digress. That's okay, because I take my death here, because I could assuming it actually respawns to me at this point right there. So, I guess then that makes it obvious, and I think we need to use the plotter boo to able to get into this cannon over there. But, hopefully though, that's not too far from here though, I don't think. So hopefully we can able to find one from here. In right between by the forms of those lanterns, as you can see right there. And yeah, everything else will be just worked out as it used to be, so. Anyway though, let's go ahead and just swim along and just fire up. And just, you know, uncapture the plotter boo. And not only do we get ourselves this power moon right there, on top the chunking Greg, but also by the forms of the final golden turnip. So that way, that much like any forms of the other 2 turnips, we need to basically deliver that back onto the forms of the boiling pot. And then once we do so, then we are pretty much done with the forms of, you know, trying to able to actually boiled up the forms of the golden turnips. So, yeah, that's pretty obvious for this point. So anyways, so let's go ahead and just use this hammer bro over there, or in this case, a frying pan bro, in case if we're about to be destroying those cheese rocks and all that stuff, even though that sometimes that my speedrun tactics is a bit too lacking, I will admit though right away, because, you know, I always enjoyed trying to perform those expert moves and stuff like that, other than the somersaults, which I will admit though, it can get pretty tricky sometimes and stuff like that. There we go, now we can do a triple jump. And as usual, we need to reach up for this point here, and it's not too bad, not too noticeable, I don't think. So even then, let's chuck this final golden turnip in here, and we get ourselves the next glorious power moon. So, there we go. I think that pretty much does it for now when it comes to the Luncheon Kingdom, I'm afraid, guys. Other than, there might be still more to it, other than the forms of, you know, couple of, missions I need to able to go through. But I think we've done quite enough, actually, when it comes to the actual, like, the actual kingdom itself. So anyways, let's go ahead and purchase the actual sticker for it. And especially with this, vegetable pile on the forms of the souvenirs. And, well, I would appreciate it with the forms of the costumes, but I think I might as well go for that for now. Whilst we'll come back for the actual artist hat in a later time. Because for now, yeah, let's go ahead and just leave the forms of Luncheon Kingdom for now. Other than we have to still worry about the princess after all. See, for now, the princess we already know what we're talking about for several times. Of course, it's Princess Peach, obviously. So, other than, there's one last mission that we can able to do it for this point. And that is the forms of catching that rabbit. But sometimes catching rabbits can get pretty tricky sometimes, even in comparison to the forms of Super Mario 64 and the forms of Super Mario 64 DS, and even the Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks for the Nintendo DS. So, if that's the case, then obviously we don't have to utilize the stylus or anything like that, so other than it just actually takes place in the forms of this narrow section over there, and he immediately guessed of how the fact that I was going to be going for it, so. But even then, I found the star bunnies to be quite easy to catch though, unlike any forms of those rabbits does, because normally they just goes like way too fast and all that stuff, which I think I will admit though right away, can be get pretty cryptic in some scenarios right there, so. Anyways though, before you leave the kingdom, I need to double check if there are missing parts other than the final 3 Luncheon Kingdom regional coins from there, which I don't think I actually see them just yet. Other than that we could again come back for this kingdom after we're able to finish up the main game or the main quest first. And everything else should be done for us. So even then, let's insert those 11 of those power moons at the moment. And let's see how many we've got. 336. That's quite a lot. Alright, so let's set sail. And now we can able to move on to the forms of the next kingdom. Bowser's Kingdom. So this should be our next stop, and hopefully we should able to actually stop Bowser once and for all yet again for about a considerable amount of times, and then we should able to rescue the princess in no time. So yeah, that kingdom is very fun though, especially noticeable how the fact that I could have wished if the next 2D Mario game world theme should be like this. At least to me though anyway, rather than just, you know, keep on rehashing the exact same themes over and over again, but that's just me. Since he took the time to steal the stupendous stew, I imagine that's what he's serving at the reception. And as usual, tips and tricks here and there, but I digress. Well, here it is. Now, back to our investigation. Next up we have... What? The Bowser in Bowser's Kingdom. Is that Bowser? I've got a bad feeling about this. What? Why are we shaking? Why? Of course, Bowser's up to... Oh my lord! This dragon is so realistic almost! Let's see you survive this, plumber boy. And once again, the Odyssey has been destroyed for a second time. But this time with this mighty weapon. This enormous dragon, I have to say that much. And just like the ones in the forms of the Lost Kingdom, we're going to be spending most of our time in the forms of the next kingdom, which should be Ruined Kingdom. So, what is this, like a Castlevania experience? Huh. And, you know, as we expected, much like in the Lost Kingdom, the Odyssey has been broken down again. But this time around, though, we have lesser amounts of moons to collect. Like, let's just say about only 3 of them. So, if that's the case, then, unlike in the forms of the Lost Kingdom, you have to collect about only 10 of them. So even then, as soon as you're able to collect 10 of them, then you would able to proceed. So, as you expected, much like the Cloud Kingdom, there is no regional coins to be found around here. So, other than, if we go down right here, then we are able to get ourselves our first Power Moon in the forms of the Ruined Kingdom, and that is the Ancient Treasure Chest. In addition to the forms of whole bunch of coins that we can able to grab, so hopefully we can able to actually spend most of it though on the forms of several items, most notably by the forms of the Power Moons on its way, and that was my fault. I just have no idea why I just have some really bad luck when it comes to skills like this. I just have no idea why. But anyways though, the main purpose of the forms of this particular kingdom itself is the fact that we need to obviously find our way to able to get all the way up to the top of this broken tower. You know, kind of like how it did in the forms of the Castlevania world. Reminds me of that. So even then, except that we need to use the forms of this electrical zip wire. And then we could able to actually transport all the way from here. So it seems pretty harmless. Other than, of course, the mighty Lord Dragon. So, speaking of such, we have ourselves our next boss in this game. Is actually a very unique one, actually. It's the fact that this boss does remind me of the forms of the Dragon Slayer boss, in the forms of Sonic and the Black Knight. Except that we don't use a sword or anything like that, or even whackle the forms of, you know, the sword, obviously, or with the Wii Remote, or, yeah, just the Wii Remote in general. Although it still feels a little bit more utilize the Joy-Con shaking, but it's not too bad actually. So, all we need to do in this particular boss fight is the fact that we need to take down these little peg stuff, or in this case these yellow golden peg stuff. And then once you do so, that way you should able to break the seal of the forms of the dragon's head. And then once you does that, basically, once you're done with all that kinds of stuff, you should able to ground pound his head for this whole time. Even you have to do this like 3 times, and then once you've done that, then you know, you're essentially done with this boss fight, obviously. So, of course, this boss fight can get pretty intense every once in a while, because as you can see, that he constantly spamming the forms of those little electrical attacks, which you do need to dodge, by the way. And then every once in a while, and, you know, rinse and repeat. So, yeah, it's not that bad of a boss fight, though. I kind of wish there was a way that you can able to actually ride on the dragon, and then you would able to fight him that way, just like the forms of in Super Paper Mario. But it's nothing too matters though, because even then, this boss fight is way too epic. Even then, by the forms of how different this boss fight is. Even by the forms of how almost realistic it looks. Even despite the fact that Mario was actually a cartoony looking character. Was this like Sonic 06 or something like that all over again? Well, except the fact that we don't come across into this townspeople and all that stuff, so. But anyways, once you ground pound his head 3 times, then the actual boss fight is done. Even though, despite the fact he's not dead, he's actually got knocked out. So even then, though, he doesn't disappear vanishingly, unlike any forms of other bosses in the game. So, expecting so that he might be still there, but even then, it might actually be his home, actually. Which I could assuming if I may be wrong about that. But anyways, battle with the Lord of Lightning. And I think that pretty much does it by the forms of the Ruined Kingdom. And again, just like the Cloud Kingdom, there's not much anything else we can do for now. Other than, now we can able to actually rebuild the Odyssey again. So even though that again, it requires 3 Power Moons. So even though, despite the fact that I've only got 4 Power Moons in this kingdom. So 11 from the Luncheon Kingdom I've got so far. And 4 by the forms of the Ruined Kingdom, so that makes it all in total 15 Power Moons that we've got so far for this video. Even though that again is not much, but until we get to the proper next kingdom, which should be Bowser's Kingdom, that hopefully we can get to that this time. Hopefully we can able to grab as many of those Power Moons as I feel like it, so. Farewell, the mighty old dragon, you're gonna be staying here for a long period of time. At least he doesn't interrupt us or anything like that, so anyway. 340 Power Moons I just realized that we've got. How many we can able to get more than that, other than we can able to beat the main game, so anyway. Well, that was certainly a doozy of an interruption, but I'm glad we've got the ship fixed. Well, for at least for a second time, or something like that, so. Well, here it is. Next we looked at is Bowser's Kingdom. Like structure, statues, Bowser's castle. Wait, he's got his own castle? Man, we've gotta help those two, buddy forms of Tiara and Princess Peach. Buddy forms of, like, you know, Tiara, buddy forms of Cappy's sister, and of course my love interest, Princess Peach. And here we are, folks, onto the forms of Bowser's Kingdom, in his case, Bowser's Castle. So, you might be thinking this might be exactly like the forms of any other Mario games. It might be somewhat takes place in the magma or the lava world. Well, it turns out it's actually almost like a China-based. So, infiltrate Bowser's Castle. I guess this might be our final showdown for this particular point. So, yeah, this is it, the showdown. That's right, Cappy. So yeah, I'm afraid, guys, we're gonna have to end things off at this point right there, so join me next time on Let's Play Super Mario Odyssey for the Nintendo Switch. It's the fact that we're gonna be exploring through buddy forms of Bowser's Kingdom, and hopefully we should be able to actually rescue Princess Peach and Tiara at the same time. So yeah, see you guys next time. Later, fellas.